There's a serious problem in our society today where parents and school boards across the country are working to ban books from schools. In some places, they're actually successful in achieving their goals.
Books on race, gender, and sexuality are disappearing from school shelves.
Books about coming of age and reckoning with real world problems like depression, gender politics, and racial injustice, history like the Holocaust or slavery.
One Tennessee district banning Mouse, a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about the Holocaust.
One tells a story of school segregation through the eyes of Mexican-American students. One is about the March on Washington. And two are about civil rights icon Ruby Bridges.
And all of these books, in some way, shape, or form, connect to race, racism, civil rights movement, slavery, segregation, sexual orientation, gender identity, anti-Semitism, etc. And they're trying to ban these books as part of their, plan to whitewash the history of this country and also pretend that certain populations in our country just don't exist. This like don't say gay bill, for instance, in Florida, trying to act as if gay people, members of the LGBTQ community just don't exist. We can't acknowledge them. We can't talk about these things. This is not a solution. Like Republicans and conservatives for far too long have tried to separate these people from society, have tried to whitewash our history, have tried to pretend like everything was peaches and sunny and rainbows in the United States history. And it's just not the case. We know that that's not true. At the core of all of this is this white supremacist Christian nationalist identity that these people are fighting for, right? These aren't individuals these people that are fighting to get these books banned. They fit into this category, right? If you look at a Venn diagram, it's a circle of Christian nationalists and white supremacists. There's like an overlap there, and Republicans and conservatives. And you have to ask yourself why. Why is this happening at such a high rate right now? And these culture wars that are perpetrated by and promoted by the right-wing media, by members of Congress, by politicians at the state and local level, it's all part of a plan because this is how Republicans win. They spur people up, they fearmonger, they give them something to be angry about, to be outraged about. When they manufacture this sort of outrage, it gives them something to campaign on in lieu of having policies and programs and things that'll actually make society better. Because Republicans have no platform right now. They have nothing that they're fighting for. They're only fighting against things. And it's a serious problem because it's tearing our country apart when you have a section of the country that is, wants to acknowledge the history of this country, acknowledge the good, the bad, the ugly, and be able to move forward together. Acknowledge that there are people in this country and in the world that are members of the LGBTQ community and they deserve equal human rights as everybody else does. And then there's a whole other section that want to either pretend that those people don't exist, want to deny LGBTQ people equal rights. Some people are actually campaigning for them to be put to death, which is a whole other crazy thing in the Christian nationalist world. And then on the other side of this like whitewashing, it's like it's getting rid of the history of this country, pretending that everything was always perfect, which is just utter BS. And it helps no one, especially our kids, to lie to them about the history of this country and how certain populations of people were treated, especially black people in this country, but also Latinos, also other minorities. I mean, who is this helping besides the fragile egos of these white supremacists and Christian nationalists? Like they can't even admit the history of this country and the place that they want to bring it back to in the future, right? Like that's the point. Like the idea of, we have to learn from history so that history doesn't repeat itself. The reason why they want to whitewash history, the reason why genocidaires try to deny genocide happened, is so that it can happen again, right? You can't learn from history if you're not teaching the real history. And so they don't want to teach the real history. They don't want to teach kids about what's happening today because it doesn't paint them and their ideals and their policies and their beliefs in a good light. And you know what? Maybe that's a sign that they should change their views. Maybe being a horrible racist in 2022 is not the right thing. Maybe trying to say that a man and a man and a woman and a woman, or somebody who's transgender can't be in love, can't raise a child together. Like, what world are we living in right now? It's bizarre to me. And the idea that people are proud of these ignorant and hateful and divisive positions, it's painful. It's painful to think that so many people are proud of being in that position. They're proud of trying to say, no, you shouldn't learn about Martin Luther King Jr. You shouldn't learn about Ruby Bridges. You shouldn't learn about the civil rights movement. You shouldn't learn about slavery. I don't know how we as a country can move forward when people are so stuck in trying to rewrite where we came from. We need to figure this out because it's not going to get any better.